Hey everyone, it's good to see you on this Wednesday morning. Good to see lots of new participants today, so it should be fun. Really exciting news. We are going to go over the brand new app today. So if you're, I think iPhone and Android is going tomorrow or in a couple of days, Brian, is that the plan?
In the very near future. It's just in final testing now. So
Well,
yeah.
okay, so if your iPhone, go to the App Store right now, download the new app. We're going to be going over all of that today. It's really, I mean, it feels like a completely new app. So should be really fun. Brian, you want to hop into that, or I mean, did you want me to show it? Did you want to show it?
I'm happy to, either way.
Sweet, yeah, go for it.
Let me know when that comes up.
There
we go.
There we go. Sweet.
Okay. Cool. So what we've done here, everybody, is we have really tried to emulate exactly what's happening on the web. So being able to see your closed volume, closed units, your year-to-date, closed and pending, month-to-date under contract volume and closed volume. Those are all here. And then in addition, as you look down here, you see you also have your conversion ratios. So our conversion ratios from conversations to appointments. And then we have our conversion ratios from appointments to signed agreements and all the way down. You can see we also split up the buyers and listings just like we do online. So it's essentially the same stuff you're getting on the web, you're able to access here. Another thing, some of these you'll scroll across on here. And then as you can see here, you also have on the same screen, you have all of your activities. We are about to put goals on these activities, which you guys are going to really enjoy. And then you can see we're currently in my personal side, but we also have a team side now. We had a bunch of team owners saying, well, it's great that I can see individual stuff, but I really want to see the team stuff. So if you click on the team, you come over here, and now I can see where I'm at as a team. And again, we're first looking at the year here, then I come down here. It's going to automatically default to the month, but you can see at the top, I actually have custom date ranges up there. And so just like on the web, you can pull up any date range you want. I know a lot of you have your agents report numbers out on a weekly basis. So they can now choose the specific date range and report their numbers out for the week in your team meetings. Coming down here, looking at the team numbers, if I come down to the bottom, you can see we now are showing whichever leaderboards you guys have selected, which if you're not aware, you can actually choose whichever leaderboards you want to show up on this for your display mode and for your dashboards. And so all of those will show here as well, just like on the web. So that's really the dashboard section. I'm just going to hit this pretty quickly, and then we can jump into questions if you guys have them. So I'm going to move over to the transaction section, which is the next button over at the bottom of the screen. If you just click on the transactions, it's going to jump immediately into your pipeline. And here you can see all of your pipeline signed, pending, closed, and lost transactions. You can also see if something's been locked by the admin. It's going to have a lock on there so the agent knows why they are not able to go in and make changes on that. They used to not see the lock until they opened the transaction up. So that's also a change. If I want to go in, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a client here, and I'm just going to import them from, I'm just going to pull Dean in here, and I'm just going to walk through a transaction really quick. I'm just going to say this one's 555,000, and I'm going to get 3% commission, and I'm getting a 50% split, and my lead source on this was an internet call. Okay, so I'm going to set this as a priority, so it's going to show up in the top. You can see here, for those of you who maybe are new to this, I highly recommend that where you do appointments set, I recommend you do it here if you can, rather than doing it in the activities. because you're just going to have clearer reports, and in the near future, you'll actually have dashboards as well that will pull this data in if you want to have that in your dashboard. So I'm just going to choose today. You can see I set an appointment today. I went on an appointment today. I actually got there, and we're going to say this is a listing. I signed my listing today. I haven't put it under contract yet. There's a push notification just letting us know that somebody on the team was put under contract. And as you can see here up at the top, I'm choosing buyer and listing. And a lot of this is not new. One of the things I wanted to share here is the next release will actually have the ability to choose any of your forms on this screen, so that your agents will actually be able to go in and completely fill out a buyer under contract form or listing under contract form. And so if I save that, Dean is now under contract, or I'm sorry, he's signed. Or did I put him under contract? Yeah. So there's Dean under contract. And then basically, again, you can see I know exactly what I currently have pending, what I have closed. And so I can just come into my pending and quickly see I have 111,000 pending. So I know that's stuff just from the app here. I'm seeing that stuff that's going to close here in the very near future. So
Brian, I just want to call out almost everyone I'm seeing on the call today has an integration that's pulling most of those pipeline stages. So for most of you, you're getting set, met, signed at least through your CRM. But this could be really cool for your agents if they want to pop in here and maybe like add an amount or a value to those transactions that have come over from their CRM. You know, just being able to visualize it at any moment. So.
Yeah, so thanks for pointing that out, Zach. So really when somebody goes under contract, putting that in here, they'll be able to actually fill out the entire form from the app. So
a lot of times it comes over from the CRM, and you know when something was set, met, and signed right from the CRM, but it doesn't, there's no transaction value yet a lot of times in the CRM. So if they want to start forecasting their pipeline, they could do it that way, just by popping in a transaction amount.
So one thing that a lot of you may not be aware, you can mark people priorities, so they're going to show up in the priority section, or you can not do that, and you can just filter, and you can actually drag these up and down over here like this. That's a little hard to see on the right. That font's going to be updated in the next app as well. So then if you come into the record screen is very much like it is on the web as well. So this has really changed. It's basically the same thing you have on the web. So you can see I have 16 contacts. So as I make contacts, I can quickly just go in and hit the plus button, or I can type those in. This is going to have whatever you've chosen as the, as the admin. Those are going to be the same things that show up here.
So you go admin, team settings, you add those activities, drag them around, and that's the order they're going to show up on this.
So you can see this is recording for a certain date, but I can actually go in if I want to log something for yesterday as well, or any other day. Then I come in here to the leaderboards. The next release of this, and I'm just sharing this with you guys so you know what to watch for, because these will be happening pretty quickly. But as I come into here and I choose a leaderboard, you can see it's automatically, again, going to the month of October. If I want to do 5-star reviews, here's 5-star reviews for October. You can see Zach's the only one that's gotten one, with it today being the 2nd. But I could also go and I could choose last month if I wanted. In addition, the next release will allow you to have your challenges on here as well. So if you guys are running sales contests, you'll be able to view the sales contests here. You'll be able to select between leaderboards or challenges. More sections, pretty much the same. I don't know if there's anything you want to cover there. Zach, anything you wanted to cover there? So I think as you guys see, the real change here is really taking this more and more and more to where it's the exact same thing you're doing online.
Hey, Brian, can you try something real quick? If you click team in the top right.
Oh, yeah.
And then pull up one of your agents.
So as you guys see here, I'm going to come into team, and I'm just going to choose Zach here. And if I want to see what Zach's doing, I have the ability to do that
And
here.
I could go transactions and look at my pipeline, right? If I'm an admin.
So yeah, so it's as if I'm logged in as
Nice.
you.
So Doug, to answer your question, we actually can do that. You can see your agent's pipeline by logging in as them like that. And then how would I get back? I would just go home and then back to my own account, right?
Yeah, so if you go back to the home screen, there's going to be a place at the top that says return. You can see it's yellow at the bottom to just remind you that you're not in your own account. And when I hit return up there, it's just going to log me back into my account. So it gives you as an admin the ability to jump in and see any of the members of your team. So thanks for sharing that, Zach.
Cool. I actually told Doug you can't do that, so I'm glad you can do that.
So another thing that we're working on is leaderboards. We have a lot of large teams and brokerages and even organizations that are coming in here. And so what's going to happen is we're going to start displaying the top 10, and then we'll show the 3 above you, and then the 3 below you if you're an agent. So if you were to log in as one of your agents, in the leaderboard section, you would also be viewing it that way, where you would see what place they're in.
That could probably be optional, right? For like bigger teams with 50, a lot of agents in here, or what are you thinking there?
I mean, I think it gets too much to just scroll all the way through these leaderboards. So
yeah.
So it's really a matter of just letting them see the top performers and then letting them see who's right in front of them and who's right behind them.
Kevin's asking about tracking how often people are getting here to track. So we're coming out with some new ways of that, but there is a leaderboard for days tracked that will show you how many days someone has gotten in here and put in their numbers. So I'm pretty sure we have that under leaderboards, right, Brian?
We do.
Cool.
I don't know that we have that selected on this team right now, but I'll stop my share here, Zach, and you can share and show people how to get that set up if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah, there's 2 things there. There's days tracked, and then there's a streak. So you could track not only how many days they've tracked, but how many days consecutively they've gotten in and at least logged some kind of activity in Sisu.
Well, let's see. I think we do have that here. So if I want to see days tracked, I can just come into here, and it'll show you that Rick has tracked 2 days and Zach's tracked 2 days this month. 3 of us have tracked 1 day, and everybody else hasn't tracked at all. Right. So that's a great way to see activities, and there's some other ways as well that you can do that. And the 2 best are really this and the streaks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of people make this part of their challenge, right?
Yeah, that's
part of your challenges is actually getting you can earn points just by tracking your numbers. So
yeah, if you log in every day and track your numbers, you're going to get points. Or it's not necessarily showing you're tracking; it's showing you could log in to show that you put somebody under contract, and that would count as doing that as well. Anything else before we jump out of the app that anybody wants to see, or any questions?
cool.
For those of you who have a white label, I know some of you do. Again, this would be in your own colors, so I'm sure you're already seeing it.
Hey, Brian, you might want to mention, because we do have a couple white label participants today. I know Doug is. Just make sure, we try to let everybody know, if you do white label, your visual appearance of the app is going to be a much better experience if you go to your lighter version. So just make sure you let your users know that the dark version looks great. Doesn't look as great if you have a white labeled version. So you just go to more settings and lighter theme. Tell your users that, so you'll get your branding in a lighter theme.
So where you do that, guys, is if you come into more and then settings, like he said, you can go lighter theme here. And now when you come back to your home screen, it's going to take a second to transition, but everything is going to lighten up on here. So as I go through, you're going to see things are going to appear lighter. Okay, so one of the reasons that makes sense to do, especially if you have dark colors, if you have black, the black doesn't show up on the circles very well. when you have black around it. So just depending on what, what your colors are, sometimes the light looks better, sometimes the dark looks better. So just play around with that. Thanks, Frank. Again, for those of you who have multiple teams or multiple brokerages, if you just come up here to the top left-hand corner, you can jump around into your different teams and brokerages as well.
Cool. I think we had some good questions already in the chat. So if anyone else has anything, feel free to pop it in there. Maybe talk challenges real quick.
Yeah, I'll stop the share here, Zach. I know you had some things you wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah, no, I was just this morning. I'll share this. I was scrolling through Instagram, and then I realized, and I know we have quite a few people here who are Tom Ferry coaching, but let's see. I go to my challenges here. Tom talks about every single, like he's done it for the past 3 years. Every Q4, he talks about doing an appointment challenge and really just focusing in with your agents on one metric, because they get in and look at these big leaderboards and they see things and they see all these metrics, and sometimes you get a little overwhelmed with them. So you really want to focus in on one thing that they can execute on. Say you're having your one-on-one today, and then you want to give them one challenge or one activity to focus on, and then come back and revisit it the next week. So I came up with kind of a way that you can do that each week. So if you come into your challenges here, you can create these challenges where the only person on the challenge is this one agent. So in this case, I've created this personal challenge. Say you're having your one-on-one with this agent. You say, okay, we want to focus on your appointment set for this next week. And if you hit at least 10 appointments set in week 1, you're going to get 50 points. Or I might even call this a $50 bonus or whatever that is. And then when I come back the next week and I pull up this challenge, I can see how did they actually execute on that? Did they hit the goal? And then setting a new challenge for the next week. Or I could do this monthly. Or I could do this each quarter and create these kind of personal challenges for each agent. So I just thought that could be a cool little thing to test out. We certainly have more features that we could build and ways we could modify this to make it even better. But wanted to throw it out and maybe get some feedback and see what you guys think about it. So, is that clear, Brian? I mean, do you understand what I'm trying to say there?
Are you talking to me, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm understandable in what I'm explaining.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're talking about here, cool. And I know that Tom's a big advocate of that. So I don't know if anybody else has questions about that, but essentially, rather than just setting a goal for your individual agents, if you want to structure a reward for them and have them focus on one specific thing, you may have agents that are at different levels. In fact, everybody does, right? Or you may have buyers agents and listing agents, and you really want them focused on the one thing that's really going to drive their business. You could set a challenge just for them where you give them a reward for accomplishing that over a certain time frame.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's all from me. I just thought that could be fun in your one-on-one meetings. So. All right. Anything else you want to touch on? Or I think we have another release we're probably going to be talking about next week. So it's been crazy. It's like a release every week lately. So.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions?
Cool. Projected settlement date. Yep. I have talked about that. I think we're talking about it more with Trevor. Right, Brian?
I think another thing to mention too, Zach, is we've had this question the last couple of days. So not this release, but the release after, we're going to be doing required or team-defined, admin-defined custom fields. So, you'll pretty much get to create any type of custom field for your teams upon your heart's content. So all these fields that you want to ask will be the ability to add by your team leaders, so and admins.
Yeah, it'll be really slick, and once we have that, I mean, there should be no spreadsheet that we can't replace. Even if it has the most obscure fields that nobody else would use on the platform, you can go in and create those and make them part of your forms, track them, use the transaction screen to filter by them and run reports that way. So yeah, Frank and I have been very excited about this. Everyone is, but mostly me and Frank.
So Deanna, it looks like you had something that's going on with you. So we'll reach out offline and make sure we get that addressed as well.
Every time I go and change a closing date. Okay.
Marty, you're asking how often releases come out. Typically, we shoot to do a release about every 2 weeks. It just kind of depends, but typically at least every couple of weeks. Sometimes, like we did a release last week, we're planning on doing another one this week on the platform. We also did an app release this week. So I would say plan on every 2 to 3 weeks pretty consistently.
All right. CT style projections, yeah, hopefully. I thought that was a good thread in the Mastermind group, talking about like projected closings or projected income kind of report. Maybe just putting a little graph on the income report to visualize it.
So we actually, as part of what we're doing right now with our goals, we're updating it so that on the goals, every activity is going to have a goal. And as part of that, I know there's a diagram that you've been able to see in CTE that kind of compares where your progress is towards your goals. We could very easily build that. That wouldn't be difficult to do. So we will likely do that as we have goals on everything. One of the things you may want to do if you haven't yet is go look at your year-over-year numbers on the snapshot page. You can choose any categories to drop down on those snapshots that will give you a lot of those same type of visuals. So try that. Would love to get your feedback on that. But yeah, what you're looking for there is something we absolutely plan on doing.
Yeah, the first part of that is, right now the goals are just kind of there. And this next, we're trying to do it this week, right? Where you can actually set goals for every single month. So that's probably something we'll go over next week.
So there's a comment on the settlement date that rolls around. Yeah, so on the settlement date, if a settlement date changes, and I know Zach's talked to a lot of you guys about adding a separate field for projected closings if you want, but if the settlement date changes, if you just go in and change that date out, if let's say your settlement gets pushed out 3 days, just make sure your transaction coordinator stays on top of changing that date. And as soon as they just go in and change the settlement date, even if it's showing that it's closed, as long as you go back and change that settlement date, it'll correct itself in all of your dashboards.
Yeah, but that forecasted settlement date I think would be pretty useful. So yeah, absolutely, Marty, totally agree with you. All right, and Marty, we already have that story written up. We have the details on forecasted, so yeah, we'll see. I'll ask Trevor what kind of effort that would be, but shouldn't be too much.
All right, anything else before we drop off? So maybe I'd like to know, is there anything that you guys are like looking for that you would really want to discuss on some of these? One of the things we want to do is have somebody who's using Sisu at a very high level jump in at least once a month and share with you how they're using the platform and where it's really making a difference for them. But is there anything else that you guys would like to see on some of these mastermind meetings moving forward? If so, just reach out, let us know. Again, we'd love to hear from you. If there's some idea that you have, something you want to make sure we cover, we'll make sure and get it done. So just let us know.
Doug said expenses.
I think going over the expenses would be a good one, maybe for next week too, Brian. So
yeah, I think we could jump in and show expenses real quick right now, Zach, if you want to do that.
Yeah, sure. Just
so that people know how to get there.
I was thinking next week we could get like a live band and some music too. What do you think? It'd be fun.
We can have that playing in the background.
Okay, cool. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So expenses, it's under admin expenses. You can track them, a little more individually. you can just create buckets. So these categories, or some people have just been talking about, I talked to Kevin about this. If you don't want to get extremely detailed in here, you can just come and dump all your expenses into one bucket each month and have that report. So you can get as detailed as you want, but when I add a new one, it will just ask me how much, what was the date, what's the category that I want it, displayed in, or I think I can create a new one. And it will create that new category type, and then who am I actually paying it to, right? So all that can be tracked. You don't have to get that granular. You can just dump in your monthly expenses each month, and that will give you an accurate income report.
One of the things, and again, we don't want to replace your accounting system, but we do want to give you really good reporting. So one of the things we're looking at doing here is financial integrations as well. And ultimately, we will have an integration with QuickBooks. So. Yeah,
QuickBooks wouldn't be too hard. I've talked with Rick about it, but you could just zap in each expense as it hits your QuickBooks. We don't have the actions for that yet, but that's definitely something that I've talked with Rick, and we have a plan to do that. It wouldn't be super difficult.
We're also looking at some other options there as well. So again, we want to make sure you guys have the best financial system out there that you can use for your real estate business. And we want to make sure that we're giving you the visualizations and the reporting on that so that it's so you have all the data you need.
So Doug, a lot of people do this transactionally, which can be really cool in this commission form. Basically, you can get it down to, and I definitely have seen people doing this, where they'll get it down to, splits and expenses and all the expenses that they're counting in transactionally. But sometimes on their team income here, they'll take out like a listing marketing expense, staging costs, basically those transactional expenses. They sometimes like to factor in at this level, so that this, amount that you're seeing as team income can be adjusted just by adding those in here. So I just go add, and I can say, listing marketing expenses, and I can factor that in. So certainly a way that it can be done transactionally. Cool. All right, guys. Great feedback today. I think we'll call it good there, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. See you guys.